All right, welcome back. We're back in the garage Mahal, and it is a Friday night. We have got the modules ready. We got module number 1 is good. We know this, we checked it. Module number 2 is good. Number 3, 4, 5, and 6 is back to normal. The cell number, and this is a cell number, I think it was cell number 95 out of 96, was reading low by almost, I think it was like almost 500 millivolts, which is significant in electric battery systems. So we've got it up to the proper levels. They're all matching. They're all like 3.93 or somewhere in that range, which is either 3.93 or 3.92. So that's like within 10 millivolts, which is perfect. The BMS can definitely handle that. So we're going to go ahead and put the batteries back in. We're going to connect all the power terminals first, then put the BMS plugs into the BMS, and then we're going to tee the key on and hope that our battery levels or our modules are correct. That's how we go. Okay, so we are got everything plugged in. All right, BMS should be firing up. There you go. AC okay. Should be populating. There we go. Now we're populating. All right. Okay, so the ones we were worried about was this one. Oh, that's actually not bad. 38051 is not horrible. It's still about 500 mil. Actually, it's only 50 millivolts down. That's not bad. So it's looking okay. Nothing really weird that I can see. All right, so let's see what it says on the main screen. All right, so 375, 373, highest, lowest cell. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we're about 50 millivolts out because of that one. Now, why is that doing that? I do not know. That is string number 1. That's the first module. That was reading overly high. Now it's reading, well, 3893 now. 38942. That's not too bad. Oh, that's the second string. 38051. So it's reading strangely, even though when I read it at the actual module, it was fine. All right, so we're back in the cab, and I just plugged this thing in. Plugged the BMS wires in to the BMS and the cell taps, and I turned on the card so the BMS could send the data to the Bluetooth and the OBD2 reader and pick it up on the tablet. And I'll show you what the tablet is showing right now. Right here. That is and it's basically it was what it was before I turned it off. I just turned it off a second ago, but that is what it's reading right now. And the problem is, you can see that this cell down here is 3.8051. That's about 150 millivolts off, and it's off what is actually read at the cell. Because I read the module, I checked the module in one of the previous videos, and I could see that it was reading 3.9. So I'm going to check the BMS wires and see if it's reading 3.9 or 3.8, and then we'll have to go from there. So we're in the cab, and I hooked up the multimeter, and I've got the BMS plug number 1. That is the string, the third string. First module is the very end 2. You can see that the very first 2 plugs there. And I've got them reverse polarity because it's kind of hard to get to the end of this one because the tip of this wire came off. But I've got the negative on the positive side, and the positive will go to the negative side. So you'll see a negative number show up in a second. And so watch what happens when I check voltage on this thing. That's my finger moving across there. Hang on. And sure enough, 3.92, that's the voltage I'm reading across that first cell. So for some reason, the BMS is reading it incorrectly. Well, that was weird, but all it took was just unplugging it and plug it back in, and now it's reading perfectly fine, 39,429. So we're all within parameters. So I guess unplug it and plug it back in is the secret to most of the problems. So after a successful reconnection of all the BMS cell taps and turning on the car with the BMS running through the OBD and the tablet, everything is reading correctly now. So it's taken a while, but we finally got there. Now it's just a matter of buttoning up the back end and throwing that seat back in the front. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. It was at this point I realized I forgot to pick up the RTV to seal all the way around. So we're not going to seal it up in the back, but we are going to put the driver's seat back in. All right, so we've got the driver's seat back in where it belongs. And once we get the black RTV, which is on its way by way of Amazon for a much lower price than local retail, we're going to be able to seal that one back up. And baby could drive on the road, but now we're going to go ahead and tackle the rear axles and reattach the drive shaft yoke after we put more RTV on that. Or not drive shaft yoke, but the differential yoke. And we're probably going to tackle the adding more chargers. So more to go.